right now.
Hey, everybody. I'm
Oh, it
Sparks.
just goes back and forth.
Mars, Europe. That's me.
Yeah. Mars cannot be in the studio, so he's
I'm just
he's
recording
still
right now.
outside in the ship. But
I'm base.
Oh, it just goes
who
back
is
and forth.
pumped right now? This is gonna be awesome.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great.
Mars, what is
I'm just
happening today?
recording
Can you
right
just
now.
What is happening today? Today
set
is
the
the launch
stage?
Oh, it just goes back and
of
forth.
the this is launch to Mars. We're sending yet another rover. It's a
I'm
big
just
ass
recording
rover
right now.
that's as big as what's it called? Maybe an
Oh, it
SV.
just goes back and forth.
And it's just like the other one, the Curiosity that's on Mars currently, but it has a lot more
I'm just
updated
recording right now.
features and gizmos and stuff. It
Oh, it just
has
goes
a
back
little
and
tiny
forth.
helicopter on it. It has a thing to change the atmosphere of Mars into oxygen to test
I'm
out,
just
see if
recording
that can
right now.
work. It's going to pick up samples
Oh, it
from
just goes back
the
and forth.
Martian surface and deposit them surface so that way another mission that's come and it's going to pick up and send them
I'm
back to
just
Earth.
recording
And we'll
right
talk about
now.
that later, but that's going to be pretty crazy.
Oh, it just goes back and
There's
forth.
a lot of other like autonomous stuff on this rover, so that way it can like drive itself without having to wait for
I'm
engineers,
just
and
recording
so it
right
can
now.
explore more and do more autonomously.
Oh, it just goes back and
And we'll
forth.
be getting so much more out of this mission.
Did you
And
say it has a helicopter on it?
it has a tiny helicopter. It's
I'm just
a little
recording
guy
right now.
called Ingenuity, and he
Okay.
is
Oh, it just
going
goes back and
to
forth.
fly and do some stuff. It's basically a technology demonstration
I'm just
mission
recording
part of
right
it,
now.
so it's not going to do too much other than to see if
Oh, it
we can
just goes
fly
back and forth.
on on Mars.
That's so weird because like when you say it has a helicopter on it, like I immediately start
I'm
thinking
just
like,
recording
wait,
right now.
does Mars have the same atmosphere as like
Oh, it
Earth?
just
Like
goes back
how
and
do
forth.
Oh,
aerodynamics
yeah.
work on Mars?
Well, the problem is with Mars, we think of Mars as an atmospheric planet,
I'm
which
just
it is,
recording right
but it
now.
only has 1% of Earth's atmosphere.
Oh,
So
it
it's
just goes
super
back and
duper
forth.
thin. Even though like, it has basic sky and um, there's enough in it that you have to plan for when you enter into the Martian atmosphere, that you have a decent heat shield for it. But it's still super duper thin. And so flying around there, we're gonna need a very specialized uh, uh, type of aircraft. That's not gonna be like what we have on Earth, where
Right.
you have your drone and lift off pretty easy with standard like little batteries. This one's gonna it has a lot of technology on it where it has its own little solar panel on it, so keep itself charged and under thingies, and carbon fiber blades, kind of like the ones we have on Earth with our drones here,
Mm-hmm.
but it has to overcome a lot of different things in terms of like the atmosphere being so thin.
Got it. Well, so what is actually going to go down today, Mars? There's obviously a launch, but like what is actually the whole plan? Because I feel like when we talked earlier, the whole idea of like how much like the stars have to align for this particular launch is kind of interesting.
Yeah, so we can go to Mars basically once every 2 years, because yeah, like you said, um, Earth and Mars orbit, um, they need to line up in a way that makes sense for us to send things to Mars,
Right.
fuel wise, and with certain times, even with like the optimal launch window, it still takes us 6 to 7 months to get to Mars, be it a human mission or a aquatic one.
Right. Right. Right.
And so we have to send it up like now. That way we can meet the window. Otherwise, we have to wait another 2 years. So if things go south for launching, nothing's gonna be happening for quite a while.
Right. 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 Well, so what are you excited for with this? Like, I feel like I'm really excited just by the fact that like man, like the last mission with Mars was so interesting. Where like we shot a little robot over there, and it was only designed to be there for like a little bit of time, and it just kept going. Like it just kept going and going and going. Like it wasn't designed to last as long as it did, and it still did. This is kind of like for me that same mission 2.0. But there's a lot more to learn about Mars with a lot more like long term thinking about. Hey, maybe we want to go to Mars. So, what are you thinking about? What's exciting for you about all this?
What's exciting for me is the technology that's going with the the rover Perseverance, um, that will like the stuff that will test out things when we send the humans there. So it's landing in an area that potentially is where we would like to have I can imagine, a crewed mission go to
Hmm.
Mars, and it's going to test out automated what's it called automatic technology, so that when it's landing, it can look at the ground and decide for itself, like, oh, this area is too rocky, I'm going to move to the left, or this
Right.
area is on an incline, I'm going to move to the right. And also when it lands, when the rover's on its own, it's gonna be able to look at the terrain and judge, like, oh, I should go this way, I should go that way. Kind of like how um, mated cars nowadays uh, look around, then make decisions based on the environment of how to safely navigate the terrain. Except for this case, it's going to be on a totally different planet.
But a bunch of chat is asking when is the actual launch. Let's just go to that right now. The
The
launch
actual
is in
launch,
40 minutes and
yeah,
26 seconds. Countdown to Mars. Um, I forget what the actual website is that we're going. What we're watching together is mars.nasa.gov, the 2020 mission for the Perseverance rover. So yeah, we have 40 minutes. We're going to be talking about what's about to go down in 40 minutes as we lead up to that. So some people are saying that's sooner than I expected. Yeah, it's all sooner than we expected. uh, but I also have up here, if Mars, you want to go over it. We don't have to go over it now. We can go. We have 40 minutes. We have plenty of time. The
yeah,
rover animation to kind of look at like what that's all about.
yeah,
Whenever you're ready.
let's go for it.
You want to do it now?
Yeah, let's do it now. Let's talk about this really cool um, sample thingy. It's gonna drill. So
Here's a
in
here's a really important sample thingy to use
a
these.
real important sample thingy. What it's gonna do, it's gonna drill into the Martian soil, and unlike the Mars Curiosity, where it just kind of like blasts away and samples it and then makes readings on board, this is going to prepare the samples for a return back to Earth. So it's going to gather them up, put into a small little contain inside the rover itself, and then it's going to drop them off at uh, a different location where sorry,
What are you sorry about?
another mission is going to land and pick them up and then send them back to Earth. And that part of the mission, the second part of that mission is going to be crazy. Yeah, there it goes.
There it goes. There it goes. So how long have they been working on this project?
They announced that they're going to send it. That they announced that this was happening in 2012, so quite a while, at least 8 years. Um, but building it, I'm pretty sure was before that, because a lot of this is based off of the build for Mars Curiosity.
Hey, so all kinds asked how long will the journey take to Mars, and then plus one by Boss Lady, who said, "Great question." That's a great question. How long will it take?
And this will take probably 6 months. Let's see. It will land probably February 28th, not 20th, February 18th of 2021. Then So for the sample return, I believe they're sending another rover, like a smaller rover, kind of like Opportunity. That I think that's going to go out in 2026, and then at the same time they're also sending a new orbiter to Mars to study from above. But what's cool is that that orbiter is going to have when the it's going to have the sample return vehicle. So uh step back. So
Stepping back. Stepping back.
Perseverance is going to pick up the stuff from the ground, leave them on the ground, and then another rover is going to come, small tiny dude. It's going to go pick him up, put him into a new rocket, shoot that rocket into space,
Mm-hmm.
and then that rocket's going to dock with orbiter that
Right.
we're also sending, and then that orbiter is going to launch another rocket back to Earth, which will have like the return vehicle.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's gonna be nuts. That should be all done by 2031, which I know is a freaking long time, but it's space, and that's how it works.
That is how it works. Um, okay, so one thing I'm curious about is always like the dark side of all this. People are in chat mentioned kind of Kerbal Space Program, and this is always
Yeah,
kind of a fun thing when we're looking at like overcoming the odds. What could go wrong? So there's
oh,
obviously like
yeah.
the launch, right? So like the launch could fail. I like at this point, I don't want to be cocky, but I feel like we're getting pretty good at launching stuff into space. I don't think that's gonna go wrong. But once we're actually in space, like what are the different things that could ruin all of this amazing kind of planning that we've done?
Oh man, a lot, especially when we get to Mars. Like you said, like we're getting pretty good with our launches and our telemetry, getting our scientific instruments to where we want them. You know, with we have a great flagship mission with Cassini sending it to Saturn and navigating all the dangers around Saturn.
Right,
Going to all the moons, going through the rings,
right, right, right.
multiple times going through the rings of Saturn,
Yep.
and then finally, um, navigating the space into Saturn's atmosphere. And then when currently we have Juno around Jupiter and navigating that place which has a supercharged um, magnetic field and doing all that kind of stuff. Now going to Mars is no different in terms of difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're doing here though is we're actually trying to land on a planet, which again deals with atmosphere and the Mars 2020 Perseverance rover has the same kind of delivering mechanism as Curiosity did, where it's you have a descent vehicle. It's going down through the atmosphere. It's got that heat shield,
Yep.
and then once it slows down enough, it pops its balloons, not balloons. It pops its parachutes, and then the bottom of it comes off, exposing the rover,
Right.
and then the parachute's gonna come off, and then it's gonna start free falling, and then rocket down, and then where it wants to be, it's gonna lower the lander on like a little like crane until it's right above the ground, and then it's gonna shoot off the crane, and then the rover is gonna land safely
Okay,
on the
okay,
surface.
okay,
So
okay. So
there's a
wait,
lot of stuff that
yeah,
can go
yeah.
wrong there.
I was gonna say like it sounds like it's okay. It sounds like pretty simple in terms of like the launch, right? Where it's like, well,
Right.
what did you do?
That's the easy part.
Well, I put a payload in a rocket and I lit it on fire.
Yeah.
And it's like, how is that not
Yeah.
gonna go wrong? It's like, well, I don't think it'll blow up. But like, what's always been like really amazing to me is I understand that they're really working it out, but like the complications about the landing that you just described sound almost like out of like a Bond villain of like, okay, first it's gonna come out, and then like the robotic shark is gonna come out, and then there's gonna be like, it just seems so complex, and it feels like that's a really sketchy area for something to go wrong with the rover landing. There's a lot of mechanics that are going on there. It's not like, oh well, what happens is like it like lands into the dirt, like something opens up and the rover's there. There's like a lot of like subtle things that have to happen for that to all go right. Um, and
Yeah,
and this
and
is
all of this is gonna happen without us knowing. So like there's like a 7 minute or 14 minute, I think it's 7 minute delay. So
right, right,
when
right,
it
right.
happens, we're all gonna be like, I guess it's happening. It's kind of like Schroeder's cat. We're like, is it live? Is it dead? We don't know. And then we're gonna get everything as it comes, you know. So we'll see after the fact. Um, and
Right.
that's the fastest we'll know because information only goes literally at the speed of light.
That's right. That's right. Like, this is one of the things that's really fascinating to me. I've talked about this with a couple friends for a while. Um, Mars, are you familiar with turbo codes? Uh, I'm not sure. I lost you. Mars, you there?
Oh no, I'm not familiar with that.
So turbo codes are this like methodology that plays into like how the internet infrastructure works. And turbo codes are basically a way for when you communicate data to understand that there might be loss of that data, and as long as like a lot of the data gets there, to be able to unwind what the data you're missing is. So it's kind of like sending the data, and then you have like a little bit of you basically have like a little bit of a hash that allows you to recalculate missing data. And so um, there's these protocols on Earth that we're still trying to learn from what NASA did with space, where people don't really understand like it really is like the limit of light for how these communication things happen. It's not like in sci-fi where like, Star Trek or whatever, right? Where it's like, oh, like we're able to go past the speed of light, but for some reason we're able to like FaceTime with the admiral back on Earth. Like it's not how space works. Like there is actual like 7 minutes of like if something went wrong, you will not know about it for 7 minutes. Like there's no way past that. Is it actually 7 minutes? I actually want to like kind of do the
I think
calculator and figure it
I
out.
think it is 7 minutes. I remember last time with Curiosity, they called it 7 minutes of terror because because nobody knew anything.
7 minutes of terror.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, so they're still doing this countdown to Mars. Is there? I don't know. Is there any other thing that we should be tuned into, or is this the right one? The 2020 mission Perseverance rover site.
Yeah, that one.
Okay. Okay. They have some quick facts here. The quick facts are actually not great. It's just like, hey, we're describing all of the things we put into the header of the website.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
Right now,
Actually, here's a great thing to talk about. So, what exactly is Perseverance supposed to like achieve in terms of the information it's going to collect? Like, why is this such an important mission, and like, what are we going to learn that Curiosity didn't tell us?
Curiosity went and landed and it went to look for microbial, evidence of microbial life and roam around the surface, like studying all parts of Mars, studying like the different layers of things like little outcroppings and drilling into the surface, shooting a laser to the surface, looking around with all its different instruments and onboard laboratories. And Curiosity is going to have very similar stuff. We're going to be able to do it with what's called sample return. So we'll be able to have sample from Mars also. But also
Mm-hmm.
where we're landing is in the, let's see, what area? It's in a basin. So like an ancient like floodplain where water had once flowed and deposited sediment.
Okay.
So that'll give us a very good chance of finding evidence of ancient microbial life. And all the systems, from the landing to the automated stuff on board the rover, is gonna give us it's kind of like a technology test of things that we'll use on
Right.
crewed missions,
Right.
not
Right.
just to Mars, but also to the moon.
Right. So, boss lady in chat says the light delay is what I love about the Expanse book show because that comes into their battles. Um, yeah, that's something that's kind of interesting. Like in general, we're signed up here to watch like a historic moment, uh, and what I think is funny is that sci-fi is kind of having some pressure to get more realistic nowadays. I don't know how much you're actually
Yeah.
watching with some of that stuff, Mars, but like it is kind of funny where like you just don't get away with the kind of the cheesy kind of 50s beep boop I am in space kind of like
Yeah.
stuff anymore. Like people are pressured, maybe even just individually by Neil deGrasse Tyson calling them out to like really incorporate some of the interesting physics that go on in our media today for sci-fi. And I feel like every time we have something like this, it's another piece of media that's going to inspire how people describe their next piece of art when it has to do with sci-fi. That's why this stuff is so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's funny because the more we learn about space and the reality of, space time and science stuff, the more our science fiction starts to become fantasy. Kind of like
Right, right, right.
with Star Wars, with all that stuff, it almost feels like it's no longer like a sci-fi thing. It all feels kind of like Dungeons and Dragonsy with like our laser swords and our just flying wherever we want and everybody knowing everything we want, and now with Star Trek, like, and sure with Trek, it's kind of like you always have somebody being able to explain something so that makes sense, but you need to because it's a TV show. But like whenever the Enterprise got anything from fleet headquarters, it was all in real time. So like,
I know. It's
oh
like the FaceTime of all that stuff. Um,
yeah,
I was really disappointed with the Enterprise series. I mean, he's just Star Trek fan. Really liked it. But what I was disappointed about it was, I mean, it was okay. Nobody did like anything particularly wrong with it. But I just really wanted to see like what's the story of how we started like going into space. Like what was like mission 1, and that was kind of what that series was supposed to do with Star Trek. And part of it was just kind of like, it is what it is. But if they did that whole thing again, I would still watch it because I think there's this idea I think that everyone rallies around behind sci-fi and what's actually going on to date, which is okay. So we send Curiosity, we're sending Perseverance. We have this idea of like, especially like Elon Musk is pushing for this, like us going to Mars, us living somewhere
yeah.
on another planet. What does that look like? You know what I mean? Like, when does it happen? Why does it happen? What does it look like? And I feel like this is again one of those steps. Um,
Yeah, one of the things that is going to be done on the surface of Mars with Perseverance is they're going to test out this thing called Moxie. I think it's called Moxie,
okay,
and it's
I haven't heard of this.
it's going to be. Let me see. Let me make sure I read about it correct. Say it all correctly and
Yeah, Mars, don't
but
don't don't
basically it's gonna
mislead
go.
us.
Yeah, don't. I won't. Uh, it's gonna try to get sorry, and it's gonna get the carbon dioxide and try to make oxygen out of it, which will be pretty helpful for
Ooh,
future
okay.
crewed missions to Mars. Um, that's gonna be a big deal, but because one thing is to do that in lab on Earth, being like, okay, this is what
Yeah,
this is
like
what certain
technically
gases
we can do
are.
this.
Yeah, and yeah, it's called MOXIE. It's called the Mars Oxygen In Situ Resource Utilization Experiment. I think with some of these acronyms, they
Where are you
um,
looking? Because I want to show this to our viewers. Moxie.
okay. This is on the press kit. Um, if you go to on the same page you're looking at,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there should be a launch press kit, and if you scroll down to page 6, and so it'll produce oxygen from Mars's carbon dioxide atmosphere, and that's gonna be pretty neat. because it's one thing again like, to do it in a lab, creating Mars's atmosphere, but it's another thing to actually do it on Mars, and pretty exciting. And I really hope that part of the mission works, because it'd be really helpful to have oxygen for our astronauts or astronauts. What do we call them when they get to Mars? Are they still
Marsonauts.
astronauts? Marsonaut?
Well,
Marsans?
I guess they're astronauts still, but yeah, like no, we need a new word for them. Somebody will tell us. Tell us what that
Yeah.
new word is.
I think we need a new word. I mean, well, I suppose, the astronauts who went to the moon, they're called lunatics or lunanauts.
Jack Morgan
Maybe that's what
in chat was just like, just tuned in and thought you were talking about the dirt flavored soda Moxie.
Martians. I suppose they're from Mars. They're Martians. Kind of like that movie
Oh.
with the Ben Affleck,
Yeah.
Matt Damon.
Yeah. Okay, so we're getting into the point where we're getting closer to this. So can we actually? You want to actually go and show some video from NASA itself?
Yeah, they have some talking heads talking about stuff. We can mute them for now. But you can see a live feed um of the rocket. I believe it's an Atlas rocket. So it's shorter than some of the Falcon rockets we've been seeing, um, like the last one we saw, but it's still a huge rocket.
Okay. I'm fine to go there, Mars. Where do you want me to go? Because I'm just on mars.nasa.gov.
Oh, I'll go to I'll send you on text.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, chat. Bear with us. Mars is. I mean, as you know, he's up in space orbiting the moon right now.
I know, and all real time too.
He's gonna send me a link to what we should be watching. Cosmonauts. Yeah, that's a good point. We have Jamie saying Perseverance is the best name, so it should be named that, and I agree. It's a good name, but it should be left for something even more awesome, like a Mars mission manned. Yeah, Perseverance is a pretty cool name, but here's the thing, Jamie. Every time we name something really cool, it just ups the bar for naming something even cooler after that. That's the reason why these names keep getting better and better, is because we keep having really cool names. So it's like, oh man, we have to have a cooler name than that. At some point, it's just going to be wordless, like mind blow for some of these things.
It's a name like all the will be taken to be Perseverance Force.
Okay.
Speaking of name, we have names on the Mars Perseverance, like actually etched into it. Like you and me, and even the Ghost Draft name is on there.
Oh, really? Is Ghost Giraffe on there?
Yeah, yeah. NASA asked to send. They said, "Oh, do you want to go to Mars?" So you just sign up and you write in your names and stuff. And so I sent in my name, your name, and Ghost Draft. So our names are into Mars.
Yes. So actually, what we're watching is Ghost Giraffe launch up into Mars. This is great.
That's true. It's a true statement.
Okay. I'm setting up what you sent me. Just want to make sure I got the right stream before I make it live for our studio audience.
Ingenuity. It's very light, 1.8 kilograms, about 4 pounds.
Yep, this looks like the right one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right now they're chatting, much like how we're chatting.
It's capable.
31 minutes. Man, I can't imagine the amount of stress the flight control people are feeling right now. I was thinking about it. I was like, do they get any sleep? Like how do you sleep? And you oversleep too. Like, I would want to sleep like on the floor, so that way I make sure I'm there. I used to do that in college, where I really didn't want to miss my first class. So I would go in front of my class and I would just sleep on the ground. So that way I I wouldn't be late for my 8 a.m. class.
Just going to chat. I'm kind of showing them this lady talking without any sound. A couple things. Why don't they just take an Asp Explorer? Which, yeah, like why don't they? I mean, clearly that
Yeah.
would be way easier. In chat also, question: is this landing location a site we've been to before? Or is it a new location? That's a good question. I don't know. Do you know?
It's a new location,
Okay.
and it's in the same sort of area that we've been sending all the different rovers. And the reason why we do that, it's kind of like towards like the middle of Mars,
Mm-hmm.
just because there's more atmosphere for us to like go through.
Right.
And um, what's another reason? This reason is really this reason is really good. This area is really good because there. It's funny. The word they use for rocks in determining landing sites. It's funny. It's called high. Oh, is it high inertia? High or low thermal inertia, which is a fancy way of saying whether or not it's rocky or sandy. So they don't want to land in an area that has a lot of rocks because you could land on a rock, thing goes bad.
Right.
If
right,
you
right.
land in a place that's really sandy, things can go bad in a different way.
Right. Right.
So they want to look at so they have the satellites measure the temperature of the areas they're looking at, and they're seeing how things cool off, and so rocks cool off slowly,
Mm-hmm.
and then sandy stuff cools off really fast.
Right.
And
Right.
like
Right.
you've
Right.
been in
Because-
like you've been in a desert and I think it's real cold.
Yep. Yep.
And so they want to find these areas that have just the right uh, thermal inertia, and so that they can land in a really nice place. But aside from that, they also have Mars high-res satellites, which are amazing imagery. Like the imagery we have of Mars, you would think that we have already been there because we have 3D models of Mars's surface, and it looks like in an airplane based on the 3D models done of different angles of the surface. It's really really cool.
So Mars, sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you. Two things going on in chat. One is like I've put up like the countdown to Mars video.
Yeah.
People are commenting that your voice dubs over the reporter's lips, like really good. So it's kind of like rather than them talk, because no offense to these reporters and all that. I'm
Well,
sure they're doing a good job. I'm sure they're talking about
That's the
something that's not that-
administrator of NASA. It's kind of funny.
Oh, okay. So, but it's like he's saying what you're saying instead. It's kind of funny. I agree with chat on
Yeah.
that. The other thing I thought was great just from chat, talking about the names of stuff. Jamie BT said in the year 2313, we will bridge the next galaxy on the Wilford Express 102, Kamikaze Crazy, Blowout Express, Perseverance, Donut, Apollo, Mars, Artemis, which I thought was like really 5. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we just got to keep upping the ante.
Yeah. My favorite is when people use the numbers as part of their name.
Uh-huh.
It's like they'll be like 37 donuts that went bad.
You just mean because the numbers suggest like possible previous failure.
Yeah. So like might as well just incorporate like a number into it and then below it. Be funny. Like Princess 14. I was like, no, how about 14 something creative? I don't know. But it's too early for that. Yeah, on screen is NASA administrator, and I'm sure he's talking about whatever he's talking about.
I think he is talking about whatever he's talking about. Do you want to
I was
listen
gonna
in?
say something funny, but I realized it could come out across as rude. But the other guy looks like freaking Terry Bradshaw. Look at this dude.
This guy?
Where's that from?
Let's see what
Guy
he's
in the
saying.
middle.
Let's hear what he's saying.
Actually, the countdown clock there behind Daryl and Moo is at 4 minutes and holding. Excuse me, at T minus 4 minutes and holding. But the clock
Not
on
this
your
guy
screen now
here,
is the
but
L clock,
the other
and that is
guy.
continuing to count down towards that 7:50 a.m.
I really want that
time.
Mars
Yeah,
Rover
that's exactly
pin. That's
right,
pretty
Josh.
cool.
As we
I have
talked
the
about,
I have the
time is
one
the real-time
that's on top
clock
of the one that
continues to count down to
is on
zero.
this dude.
At T minus 4 and counting, the two clocks, the T clock and the L clock will
the other
sync
one.
up as the team continues.
Hey, I just
Also,
want
you-
I just want to say, like, neither of you guys
The team is very focused noticed this morning.
Got my tie
you
game.
already
You guys got a
mentioned
blue tie,
I
striped
know.
tie.
was brought up. The team
Way
is
better tie
successful
game. You
with
guys
that.
got to
They're
start
doing a
bringing it,
great
man.
job, and
Yeah,
it's a
you
zero
got that.
challenge.
You
So you
bought that
mentioned,
from
US
the
Space Force as one of the
estate
5
sale
teams
at
earlier,
the what's
and next
the
up we have
Looney
the
Tunes
NASA Launch
estate
Services
sale.
program
That's
team
right. That's right.
responsible for managing
Previous
the
owner
launch.
was
So we're gonna hear a poll here from the NASA
Willie
launch
E.
manager,
Coyote,
himself, Omar
something
Baez,
like
who
that?
told
Yeah.
his team
Yeah.
for their readiness to be able to
Sack me.
report out in just a few minutes. So he's very
Sack
punctual, so
me.
this should be
I think
coming
that
right on
you
time
gotta be
in 15
careful though. I
seconds. So
think
then now
if you pull it too hard, something comes out, and I think it's your head.
Yeah.
Yes, Jamie BT, we did get our names etched onto it. Both our life names and our game names and our channel name. We'll send them all the names, all of them. Is it in chat? Did you guys send up your names?
Yeah. WK Jez asks, what kind of batteries does that tie take? Oh, this is actually, so this is interesting. I don't know what's going on with the rover. Maybe you do, Mars. This is actually on plutonium. Interesting fact about science issues in general. America, back in the day, made a bunch of nuclear weapons, as did Russia. And
Oh,
one of the things that you do when you are making a nuclear weapon is you have it's kind of like one of the byproducts of making a nuclear weapon is a particular isotope of plutonium that makes actually really great batteries. And so Voyager 2, a lot of the things we've sent up into space is powered off of this particular isotope. But I think the amount of the remaining isotope left is something like, I don't know, it's like literally like a tiny little vial somewhere deep within the bowels of the government. Like, it's not very much. But we've never refined plutonium to be a power source. It's just a byproduct from nuclear weaponry. And so the only amount that we have left is what we have left. It would actually be very expensive to like to create as a new industry like this particular material, because we never made it specifically for batteries. But anyway, yeah, batteries come from nuclear weapons in space. Just a little.
and that's what's powering your tie?
Yeah, that's what's powering my tie. Yeah.
It's pretty warm in this warm tie.
Yeah, it's actually just really, really hot. I don't want to talk about it. I think it is probably
It's probably killing you, right?
Yeah. As we're speaking, I'm pretty sure that this live stream has made me sterile. That I probably will eventually now die of cancer from what's powering it.
Oh boy, 10 minutes left, man. It must be like the longest 10 minutes. Have you ever had to wait for something, and then once it gets there, like time just goes on, goes by afterwards? Like you're waiting for somebody, say like your best friend in college, to come back from visiting his girlfriend, and because you guys are going to go paintballing, and said he'd be back at what was it? Do you remember? Of course you don't. Anyway, 5 p.m. and then it's 5 p.m. and it's 6 p.m. And I believe time flew by, and it wasn't until the next week got back. But yeah, we had a great time paintballing that weekend.
I don't want to go too far from our content, but on that same note, Mars, what is it like when you're playing a game with somebody, and they set up the game to be played automatically, and then they leave, and you're continuing to play with robots?
Oh, yeah. It's always fun.
So let's see. We got. I know there was buzz about thorium as a fuel source a while back. Was that all bluster or still being investigated? I don't know what the current battery thinking is. Do you have any insight as to where power sourcing is right now?
I think it's similar to the other one, where it's like kind of like nuclear powered, but it's something very similar. That big old thing in the back
Mm-hmm.
Kind of looks like abdomen of an insect. That it's in there, but I don't know what it is.
I think one of the things that's really
I think it's hope. I think it's powered by hope.
powered by hope.
Yeah.
It's powered by love, man. It's powered by hope and love
Yeah.
and dreams.
Wishful think.
Wishful thinking and puppies, flowers.
Yeah.
Uh,
Actual physical puppies
You-
grinded up.
So what's interesting about this? Like I was talking with a friend about like where we are with space and like human civilization, and where we are right now is kind of interesting because if you look at the past, you could look at like the wheel or fire and think like, oh, this is a human civilization advancement. But here's where me and my friend were talking. We were discussing that like there's kind of these levels that you get to in civilization that are really important. So like one is like leverage, right? Like from a physics perspective, like the minute that you're able to like have a fulcrum and like start to move things, like you suddenly unlock a bunch of different things in society, right? And then you get to the point where you understand power storage. And that's a whole nother level of society, right? You have batteries, you have the ability to like use weights and stuff to like to store potential energy. And I'm wondering if like what's going on now in society is that we're having to deal with scale. Does that make any sense, Mars?
Gale.
Scale.
Gale.
Scale.
Is it like a
Scale.
person? Someone, a lady named Gale?
No, not
Would
Gale.
We've reached that point where we have to deal with Gale now. She's been waiting.
No, scale.
Oh, scale.
Yeah. What I mean by that is like, a lot of people we're dealing with like social media everywhere, and some people are sad about some things that are said on it because like we've figured out how to scale out talking to each other at a different level. We haven't figured out the psychology of what that means. We're dealing with all of this stuff where suddenly people are able to be connected at a different level before. We've never really kind of figured out like, well, what does that mean? A perfect example is like right now we are watching, with our crew, with all our Ghost Giraffe friends, like this countdown to Mars. But like when you really think about it, like what's actually going down is there's 172,000 people who are watching this. It's not like TV, right? Like they're actually all tuned in. We're all watching this together, watching this stuff, and experiencing this together as a society. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and we're starting to experience our surroundings without actually physically being there. So we're sending a lot of automated stuff out into space, where like an outside observer, if we're gonna be taking inspiration from a Star Trek movie, is starting to think that perhaps these robots are the species, the life.
Right, I've
And
heard that. That's kind of a funny idea. Like I've heard some people like in conspiracy theory, alien kind of forums be like, "What if all these aliens are actually just like robot shells from an alien race?" Which I kind of like that idea. Like, why would you send your biological equivalent elsewhere when you could send robots?
yeah, like we're and honestly, I personally, this is a personal thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are going to get mad about this, but I think sending things that like robots, that kind of stuff I prefer that than sending humans, just because human kind of our bodies, this crude stuff, as Yoda would say, it's not built so well for going out into space. So the more we can do things
we're a little squishy.
automatically, and have our AI take over, and then beam that stuff back to the hive mind, or what have you, then the more things we'll be able to, more places we will be able to go, and more things we'll be able to discover. Than if we spent all this money sending people to those
Right.
places. I mean, it's great.
So this is what I
if
mean.
we-
This is what I mean,
yeah.
though, Mars, about scale, right? Like, so if we send a rover to Mars and we have the right sensors on it and we have the right technology that we've been working on, it means that like it means that 1 million people could log in to that device and experience Mars. Like, that's a different level of scale, right? Like, before it's like, well, who went to the moon? The people that went to the moon. But like the way the
Yeah.
technology is today, like if you send one thing to Mars, that can be experienced by many people now, right? Like we could
Yeah.
you could go in and you could log, well, maybe not like exactly, but I mean, you could log in to a VR environment and like move the robot around and then be like, cool, that was cool. Move it on to the next person. Or you could take a lot of that sensor data and create the experience there and take it in that many people could experience at once. This idea of sending these probes to these areas, what's interesting about it is like it's not just one human experiencing Mars. It's enough data for many people to experience Mars.
Yeah, exactly. Although, I mean, it will be pretty cool once we do send humans to Mars, and you'll be able to kind of project yourself as them and be like, oh, cool, they're heroes and such. So like it'll drive the kind of the awe sense of exploration, but it's kind of like an integrated sense of exploration where we're sending ourselves, but you know, in this we are sending ourselves in this, like you said, like the scale, we're all like, you know, millions of people watching this, and so we're all kind of experiencing this together, as whereas before, you know, we have to wait, you know, on from our TV sets and hear what other people have told us had happened. But anyways, I think we should tune in to the feed right now. It's getting around 2 minutes to launch, and we'll bring up the volume of the NASA, and but it's a little bit low, so that way we're not like competing with what
So
they're
the
saying.
fueling is
1
wrapping
minute
up. Then?
40.
Yep, fueling is wrapping
Launch
up.
enabled.
Team is done. Launch enable's
137.
done. Launch
This is
conductor
exciting.
sequence is ready to go.
We're here.
They're getting ready to turn the vehicle over to auto
Yep, yes.
sequence.
I just want to say hi
T-minus
to
31
K
seconds.
Ross
So
in the
that's
chat.
big
Thanks so
thing
much
they're
for
getting
coming.
done here. At T-minus 25
alright,
seconds,
really,
we will
really
hear
happy
the
to
team,
have you
give their final goes that everything is ready and
1
the
minute
launch
20.
vehicle is ready to lift off and perform this mission.
SCS count
1
started.
minute 15.
Produce CCS for launch.
God, this is exciting.
1 minute 10.
I'm so excited to like experience
Intel,
this with you guys.
One minute.
Rock, report range status.
Range green.
That's good to hear, Joshua, right there.
This public safety there is accounted for. The FTS system, there you see on your screen a beautiful shot. The skies look great. There's little wind happening. You'll be able to see more of the venting. If there were wind, the
a
trail
little bit more than a minute to launch.
We're ready to go.
Actually, that's an important point. The reason we don't see that
Stable
venting is
at-
the
Alright.
vent valves have been locked up to put flight pressure.
Do you have
into
the sound?
tanks.
I don't hear any
Just heard
sound
they're
on the
stable at
NASA
step
side.
3, which means the tanks are ready to go.
Really?
And here at about 5 seconds, we
28
will hear
seconds.
the team
ECS reduced for launch.
give their
Roger.
final go.
25 seconds.
Status check. Go Atlas. Go Centaur. Go Mars 2020.
There we go. We are ready to go lift off this morning, Joshua.
We got 30 seconds. Chat, make sure, are you able to hear the audio?
8, 7, 6, 5,
5.
4.
Here we go.
Engine ignition. 2, 1,
Okay.
0. Release and liftoff.
All right.
As the countdown to
You've
Mars
seen the
continues,
vent from
perseverance
the
of
mid
humanity
area
launching the
there.
next generation of robotic explorers
Fuel,
to the red
all
planet.
normal, all good.
There we go.
And
There we
Atlas
go.
TU has gone to closed loop control.
Oh, sorry. Yep, sorry. There goes that office. There we go.
Coming up on
Woo!
30
Right.
seconds into flight, the RD-180 is throttling down as expected.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Stuff in space.
Yeah,
Stuff
Mach
in
1,
space.
Atlas 5,
Stuff
now
in space.
supersonic.
Stuff in space.
Did you see that bird just like take off? They were like, oh man, that's some loud noise there.
And passing 45 seconds into flight, vehicle is now passing through max Q, maximum dynamic pressure.
All right, it's going up. Wonder how long we'll be able to trick it. Now this stream will go on for another 6 months, so stay here. We'll
We'll be here.
Passing
We're
1
we're,
minute
we're
into
gonna
flight,
sit
the
in this very
RD-180
place
is
and just
throttling
watch
back
this for
up
6
as
months.
expected. Engine
the
response looks
entire
good.
time.
At this time in flight, the SRB chamber pressures remain nominal. The
So it'll
RD-180
land
pump
on
speed and
Mars
fuel
on
injector pressures are
February
responding well to
18th,
demands on the engine.
2021. So that's gonna
Standing
be
by for SRB
really
burnout
that's gonna be
shortly.
more nerve-wracking, like we were talking about, than the
Yeah,
actual
yeah.
launch itself.
That one I'm really excited for us to be live streaming and just to watch with like nervous hands, just being like, oh my god, I
And we have
hope this
burnout on all
works
4
out.
SRBs. Burnout pressure signatures look good. Standing by for SRB jettison shortly.
Yeah, this is the reality I always find funny. Is like at this point, it's not like the movies. Like we don't have sound. It's like, well, but you have visual. It's like, yeah. Oh, there it goes.
And we have good indication of SRB jettison of all 4
All right.
SRBs. And the vehicle has gone to
I think
closed
we'll
loop
see
guidance.
the second stage.
Vehicle body rates are responding nominally at this time.
It's going at over 5,000 miles per hour. I mean, that's pretty nuts.
It's all right. It's just 5,000 miles per hour.
And coming up on 2.5 minutes into
That's
flight.
approaching more 6,000 now.
The RD-180 is throttled down slightly as expected. Engine response continues to look good.
Yeah.
At this time, the vehicle is 50 miles in altitude, 85 miles downrange, traveling at 6,000 miles per hour.
We did it. Is this the mission with all the names? This is the mission with all the names. See,
And the Centaur reaction control system is now pressurizing the flight levels.
Of sending names to Mars. That's gonna be cool one day, because this will be like an emotion museum one day, and our name will be in that museum.
That's right.
And just past 3 minutes into flight, the RD-180 is now throttling to maintain a constant 2.5 G acceleration limit for payload-bearing jettison. Engine response and vehicle acceleration look good.
I like Jamie's. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there?
I think they're gonna go and they're gonna show the fairing separation from on board the rocket.
Oh, here we go.
So that's coming up.
And we have good indication of payload fairing jettison and Centaur forward load reactor deck jettison.
I wonder what camera we're seeing here. Okay, here we
And the RD-180 is throttled back. To attain a 4.6 acceleration. Engine response continues to look good.
That's Earth right below us.
Earth below us.
I can think I can see the house from here.
And Centaur has begun the boost phase chill down sequence to thermally condition the RL-10 for operation.
Crazy.
Standing by for BECO shortly.
Okay, Mars, at this point,
BECO is the...
I think we're outside of the realm of anything
for
failing.
And we have BECO.
Well, sure. I'm sure that's what they're saying. Everyone, I hope you prepare lunches, because it's time to... we've reached the outside of anything failing portion of this relaunch.
Well, right? Like, this is the quiet part. It's like, other than like random million-mile-per-hour collision of space debris, it's from now until when it has to land. Like, we got through the hard part, right?
Yeah. I mean, unless we did the whole like telemetry goo again of not putting meters instead of, oh, here we go. Not putting meters instead of feet. I think we're okay, but I would never say we're outside the realm of anything bad happening.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying we're outside of the realm of the things where bad things could happen is high. We're in like a lower risk area of the
lower risk area,
right? Because like the launch
area where
the launch and like the landing, those are the high risk areas. We've now gotten into like the like take a breather phase of things.
Yeah, right in that area where Apollo 13 where everything was just hunky dory.
This thing really got out of here and on its way. As we hear from Jesse, everything's looking.
Yeah, Andy, Bob, this is Mars is still putting me in danger. You just can't see it. Actually, my chair is wired up to several several wires that could explode at any moment in time.
Also, the tie is radioactive.
Also, the tie is radioactive, has made me sterile and is probably going to make me die of cancer. So that's Thanks, Mars. You really know how to.
Aren't we all?
It's pretty much dead on. Yeah, dead on. This team does a great job. As I said, they're very focused, very
Look at Earth. It's just like going by so fast on there.
They have done a lot of work to get us to this point.
I wonder what sort of I know that for uncrewed missions, they don't send it up in the same amount of delta V as they do with the crewed missions, because humans squishy. I wonder what sort of G's this thing was pulling going up, and what effect that would have on a person on there.
We got off the ground on time, and we are proceeding now that we are in the middle of the first burn.
Yeah.
It's tough to make out, but that engine is lit and it's firing. So we are in motion. There you go. There's that animation we talked about.
They're like, so we don't have any other video, so we're just going to show you an animation of what we assume is going on.
Pretty sure this is happening. This is our camera system.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that thing.
We can see that the engine is lit, and that is
It's pretty cool. Man,
It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Mars, do you happen to know which companies were involved in this particular launch? Because I think what's been exposed from the SpaceX kind of thing is like the average person who might just have a casual interest in space technology is now, they always knew that there was a bunch of people that rallied around either Russian or American or European like space technology, right? But now it's very clear, like that's one company. I'm gonna guess like Raytheon was probably involved, Boeing, but who is like the main person who was involved in this particular launch?
Us as American taxpayers, because this is mainly a NASA mission, so different areas of NASA, like NASA Goddard, NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratories, the different laboratories across the United States, working on different parts of the launch vehicle, the descent, the future vehicles where we'll be sending rovers to pick the stuff up and shoot back out to space and send them back to Earth. All those things. I know that like with SpaceX, it was some private stuff being sent up from the capital to the rocket, but this is all American, made in the USA type stuff.
Okay, so probably again like Raytheon, Boeing, those kind of groups.
Well, I don't know if Boeing was part of this, but yeah, definitely a lot of American technology companies. I don't know which ones. I know that for this James Webb Space Telescope, that there's I want to say it's Northrop that's working a lot on that one.
Oh yeah,
especially with the Sun Shield, which I think it's where it is currently. But I don't know which ones in particular were on this one. But yeah, all American companies and with different NASA laboratories across the United States.
Yeah. Well, Mars, this has been really awesome. I'm glad that we were able to catch this. I think we should probably wrap up the stream and thank all of our viewers for tuning in and watching history being made. But I want everybody to, let's see, if you're starting your day on the East Coast, it's about 8 a.m. You should get back to your day and enjoy it and know that like we just did something awesome. If you're here where I am in Central, it's about 7 a.m. If you're across the pond, I need to see what time it is for you. But I just want to kind of like let our viewers enjoy their day with some really good feels about space.
Yeah, and people were asking in the chat, when's our next video? I'm working on our next video. It's a music video, a fan-made music video by none other than Tom Cook, another great video, music track from him. It's about mining in space, and we're gonna be mining on Mars pretty soon.
Yeah.
So look forward to that. And it's looking really good. I haven't sent Sparks any of the work in progresses yet.
No.
because he's horrible with context. I'll send him something that's done, and he goes, "I don't know what this is about." And I'm like,
This is not
like,
true.
are you kidding
That
me?
is not true at all.
It is entirely true. And so I'll send you that
Yeah.
by this weekend. Hopefully, I'm hoping to have this video done for next Thursday.
Okay.
And so yeah, so look forward to that. It's a year in the making. It hasn't taken a year to make, but it's taken me a year to say I am going to make it to when I made it. So there you go.
Hey, 07, thank you everybody for showing up. A special shout out to everybody who was saying Frog RJB, Matt Cox, the Pro Rock PL who just says yeah. K Ross, thanks for showing up. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry, I can't go through everyone's name individually. Thank you all for hanging out with us
Thank you
and
so much.
enjoying this historic thing with us. I'm Sparks from Ghost Giraffe.
And I'm Mars Europe from there too.
And we love you all. Have a great day and be safe, everyone. Take care. Bye.
All right, push those buttons. Push the buttons.
Okay, I have to figure out push the buttons.
The
Push the buttons. Push the buttons.
pushing button.